Why would I go and put a highway orientated all-terrain tyre on a vehicle that's twin locked, got reduction gears in the transfer case and is built for harder wheeling? Well, the reason is I wanted to find out whether these MAXXIS Razer ATSs were any good off-road. So in this video, I'm going to give you my first impressions of them. So the first question I think we've got to ask ourselves is, who does a highway orientated all-terrain tyre suit? Well, it's going to be somebody that does the occasional dirt road, or they might want to do a weekend trip up into the mountains somewhere and they need a little bit extra traction. They want to know that the tyres can handle some puncture resistance. They can do some rock work. They can maybe go up a muddy track and they're not going to have a complete disaster like a full on-road tyre would give them. So it's going to suit somebody who does a lot of normal bitumen road driving, and then occasionally they go out into the mountains for a weekend camping or something like that. Maybe they're the person that tows a caravan and they just want to make sure they've got that little bit of extra traction for a grassy campsite where they might tow their van into. So I think that's the sort of person that this MAXXIS Razer ATS is going to suit. So let's get into how it performs. Now, I'm all about the off-road, so I'm going to focus a lot more on that, but let's just start on-road. Well, they're black and they're round and they do a good job on-road, as I'd expect. They're relatively quiet. In fact, the general vehicle noise overpowers any noise from the tyres. So I'm now sitting on the open road at 100 k's an hour on cruise control in 5th gear. I can hear engine noise. I can hear a bit of wind noise from the front of the vehicle, not much, probably like the wiper area or something. And I can hear the exhaust at the back, but I can't hear any tyres. So that's kind of what we expect, isn't it? So from a noise perspective, they're doing really well. They're very smooth. They're very comfortable on road. I'm not getting a lot of vibration or harshness coming back through the vehicle from the tyre, at least not that I can tell. Traction-wise, well, they're not breaking traction even when I get up in the vehicle, because this thing goes pretty quick because it's turbocharged and all. I'm not breaking traction with the tyre, so I've got plenty of traction there. I haven't had a chance as yet, because these are literally only been on here for less than 1,000 kilometres. I haven't had a chance to try them out in the wet. I suspect they're going to be really good, but I can't give you any feedback on that in this first impressions video. Later on, after I've done maybe around 10,000 kilometres or thereabouts, I will give you a lot more information on how they perform in the wet. Okay, let's get into the off-road environment. Now, when you go off-road, I am probably going to tend to push these tyres harder than I suspect the purchaser of these tyres will. So, in the mud, well, they're slippery. You can see how the car slides around a little bit. It hasn't got the traction of a mud tyre, and that's basically, it becomes a slick. The tread blocks fill up with the mud and then they're just slippery and slimy. So that's a challenge for us, but you kind of expect that. But here's the thing, I didn't get stuck. I did slip and slide a bit. So if you're going to come across the occasional bit of mud, they're probably going to do just fine for you. Now, what about some rocky terrain? Well, because they've got so much rubber, because they're not bulky tread blocks, they actually work quite well, because there's a lot of rubber connecting to the rock face, and therefore they actually do really well, especially when I've aired them down. Now, in a lot of this footage, they're aired down to about 20 psi for this environment. What about sand? Well, I've taken them up onto Fraser Island and driven them around up there. And again, because they don't have that big open tread block, they're really good on sand. The downside is that that's about the largest size tyre I can fit to this vehicle. And ideally, I'd much rather run a 33-inch tyre. These are probably sitting around the 31-inch tyre, more the factory size wheel for this and tyre for this vehicle. So in sand, perform very well. And I think if that's your primary thing, going to the beach or doing a bit of sand driving, you're going to be more than happy with them there. What about trail work? Just driving along a fire trail or a dirt road? Well, again, they do really well. I didn't have any issues where I gave them a bit of a squirt and I got into it a little bit in the corner to see if they'd let go. Yeah, they let go easier than a more all-terrain or mud tyre would, but they don't do too bad. Overall, when you consider the type of person that needs this type of tyre, I think they're going to do a great job. I'm very happy with them. When I put that hat on, I'm very happy with them on road. I'm very happy with them off-road. Am I going to go and do an extreme off-road touring trip like go across the Simpson Desert or go up Cape York with this tyre? Probably not. I don't think they're the tyre for that. I haven't obviously had any punctures yet, but I think that would be an issue in those sort of environments. So make sure you make the right decision for you and your needs with regards to the tyres you put on your vehicle. But I think these are well worth considering if you're the type of customer that this tyre has been designed for. I'm Mad Matt. Stay safe on the trails.